Doesn't hang around. Robert Milkins, one of the fastest players on the circuit. And he was straight down to have a go at that long red. Start of a busy couple of days for them. They'll play 6 matches in the round robin section, and they'll be hoping to make the top 4 who go through to the Group 1 semi-finals tomorrow evening. The matches come thick and fast in Championship League. £100 a frame, and obviously the aim is to get through to those playoffs where the really big money comes into it. And the ultimate incentive is a place in the winners group. Not the greatest safety shot Mark Davis has ever played. No easy position on a colour if Milkins was to take on this long red. He's come far enough for the pink. Very quickly, Milkins finds himself in among the balls. I think he's come far enough for the lower of those 2 reds next to the black. Well, that's rather stymied him. Bob Spencer actually went to put the pink on the blue spot, which certainly would have suited Milkins. He did point out to him that the black spot was available. Pink spot is tied up, so it can't go in its own spot. Just when he looked to have recovered the situation by potting that long red, he's missed a very easy green to the middle. And I think it will take a while for the players to get into the rhythm. No practice tables here, so they are coming in cold.
Six. Seven.
Wasn't really much he could do with the cue ball there. Fairly scrappy stuff early on. I mentioned they're both Englishmen. It is a very English-dominated group. We do have Ryan Day from Wales and Anthony McGill from Scotland, but all the other players in this first group are English. Said they'd be coming in cold, and they're certainly showing it so far. Don't imagine either of them will have put in a huge amount of practice over the Christmas period. This is a very early start. We do tend to have the Championship League very early on in the new year, but this is the earliest we've ever started, only the second day of the year. But all these guys will be playing a lot of matches over the next couple of days. I'm sure they'll get into their rhythm sooner rather than later. We've seen a few good long reds knocked in, but none of them has led to very much. And it's the same story again, but at least now Davis has been able to get in fairly tight behind the green.
Yeah, right.
This looks better. Looking at the way so many of the reds are bunched together, and three of them bunched together around the pink and the black. Certainly has the look of a frame that's going to be tight and scrappy all the way. Unusual situation at this level. Only 7 reds left, and neither player has more than 13 points. Generates quite a bit of cue power, Milkins, without looking like he's putting in a huge degree of effort. So that was a better shot than it looked. Wasn't easy to get back for the red from there. It's going to take something special to get on a red off this. 12 is the highest break we've seen so far. Pretty good safety shot from Davis. Hasn't left anything on, and he's opened the reds out a bit. And ultimately, it's forced an opening for him. Not easy, but if he can get this shot right, could be a frame-winning chance. The Reds are a lot more out in the open now. Pink and black are now free.
Six.
Bit of a struggle for him at the moment, though, to try and get in control of the situation. But he is on this black to the middle. Well, it was in doubt all the way, wasn't it? And you could see that reflected in Davis' body language. That takes him into the lead now. It's worked out pretty well, and in potting one of these reds, he'll free up the other one. So this red and either pink or black would just leave him needing the yellow.
blues.
Had to force that a bit. It was a bit straight on the black. So he's a little further away from the yellow than ideally he would have liked, but you'd still fancy him to get this. And if he does, he'll leave Milkins needing a snooker. But he was a long way out in the end. He's perhaps been a little bit fortunate he hasn't left an easier yellow. But I still think we'll see Milkins go for this. Mentioned they were coming in cold and maybe a bit rusty, having not played for a few weeks, and I think you saw all of that in evidence in that shot. This the key shot now. Not guaranteed to be on the blue, but if he pots this and does get on the blue, which I think he has done, and is he going to be the right side of it? He is. So Milkins needs all the balls, but he should do it from here. So not a frame that either player is likely to remember for very long. It looked like Davis was going to take it, but he missed frame ball yellow by some distance really, and Milkins stepped in and cleared up to win the opening frame of on the black. Rob Milkins leads Mark Davis by 1-0.
Let's get her ready to rumble！
小李木山在右边路拿球传中，好球！遭到了。
想看比赛，
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 想做体育主播，
想做体育主播，
想做体育主播就来直播 TV，就来直播 TV。
想看比赛，想做体育主播就来直播 TV。
Second frame. Robert Milkins to break.
So having pinched that first frame on the black, Rob Milkins gets us underway in frame 2. Davis did well to make that break of 37 in the first frame. Wasn't the most promising of positions, but generally a lot of signs of rustiness in that opener. Both of these players come here having been quarter-finalists in the last ranking event, the Scottish Open, which was the week before Christmas. Davis was beaten in the last 8 5-1 by Marco Fu, who went on to win the title, and Milkins put up a really good fight against Judd Trump, ended up losing only by 5 frames to 3. But a good week for both of them in Glasgow. This shot made so much more difficult by the cue ball being that close to the cushion. Needs to be precise, and precision hard to get when you're cueing from that position. It was very tough to get it safe from there, and he's made a decent effort. It's not a guaranteed red to the middle, and even if Davis does take it on and pot it, by no means guaranteed position, so not too bad a result for Milkins. But via a couple of flicks off reds, that's a pretty good outcome for Davis. This probably the most promising position either player has found himself in so far in the early stages of this match.
8.
Been a pretty up and down season for Davis so far. I mentioned that quarter-final in Glasgow just before Christmas. He's also quarter-finalist in the inaugural European Masters in Bucharest, the Romanian capital, in October. He was beaten by Ronnie O'Sullivan. And quarter-finalist as well in one of the minor ranking events, you might say, the Paul Hunter Classic in Germany in August. He lost to the world champion Mark Selby in the last 8 there. So he's had a few good tournaments, but other than that, not much to write home about. Quite a few early exits.
22.
He is still in the top 32, but just clinging on at this stage. He's 31st in the rankings. Not so long ago he was in the top 16. Was as high as number 12 in the world a couple of years ago. Just a little too far there. And is the black too difficult an angle to attempt? Looks like it is in his mind. That's a shame for Davis. That cue ball pulls up a few inches shorter and he's right in with a great chance. That's a poor safety shot from Milkins. Looks a bit exasperated with the outcome of that. And with a 26-point lead already, this could be a chance for Davis to level the match. Mark Davis, one of those players who would be much higher regarded within snooker circles than he might be by the general public, those who follow the game closely. And what a good player and dangerous opponent he really is. He's made well over 200 centuries in his career. best years have certainly been in recent times. Professional for just over a quarter of a century. In the first 20 years of his career, he never reached a ranking event semi-final, and suddenly he reached 3 in 6 months. Back in 2012, including the UK Championship, but was beaten in all 3 of those semi-finals. He's since gone on to be beaten in another one as well. So still awaiting an appearance in a major final, but you wouldn't write him off even now. At the age of 44. And he'll be one of those players who will have taken great encouragement from seeing Mark King, a player of similar age who's been around a similar length of time, finally winning a ranking event in his 26th season as a professional. And he won the Northern Ireland Open in Belfast in November.
15.
So many of his peers, including Davis, are bound to look at that and think, right, if he can do it, no reason at all why I can't. So of more immediate concern, he's closing in here on taking this second frame.
28.
55 in front. Pink will take that to 61. So he'll just need one more red.
Yeah, sure. 35.
That little device that you saw Rob Spencer leaving on the rail there, that's the means by which the referees control the scoreboard. So no doubt about it now, Davis is going to win this second frame. Doesn't quite make it to the half century, but that break of 49 enough for Davis to win that second frame very comfortably. Very different affair to that scrappy first that we saw, and it's honours even, 1-1 between Mark Davis and Robert Milkins.
Third frame. Mark Davis to back.
Mark Davis probably should have won the first frame. Definitely did win the second. And will now look to kick on from there in frame 3. You could see the reaction from Davis straight away. He knew what he had done. He wasn't really anywhere near getting the pot, and he stuck Milkins right in here. We may finally get to see Rob Milkins in full flow now. If you're not familiar with him, when he gets going, he's extremely fast and fluent.
Eight.
Sees the shot very quickly, gets down and plays it. Really a very naturally talented player. Mentioned that quarter-final he reached at the Scottish Open in Glasgow just before Christmas, and he really did need that. Oof, just like he needed that bit of luck there, not going in off and getting a nice bump to land on the blue. But he really did need that run in Glasgow, because he'd had a lot of early exits. Lost his first match in most of the tournaments really in the early part of the season. Did get to the last 16 of the Indian Open. Even then he was a bit disappointed. Really should have won his match against David Lilley, you would have expected, but lost it. There were some signs of a return to form at the UK Championship in York. Got through a couple of rounds and then had the misfortune to run into the eventual champion Mark Selby in the last 32, but there were signs that his game was coming back, and it certainly was back with that run to the last 8 in Glasgow.
29.
Mentioned earlier that Mark Davis has been in 4 ranking event semi-finals and lost them all. Milkins has been in 5 and lost them all. The one that really got away from him almost 12 years ago now at the Irish Masters in Dublin. 8-5 up in the semi-final against Matthew Stevens and ended up losing by 9 frames to 8. Such a big chance for me. Would have played Ronnie O'Sullivan in front of a full house in the final. So that now the highest break from either player in the match. And Milkins closing in here and winning this 3rd frame in one visit.
$52.
He has this one remaining loose red, but whatever colour he takes, it's going to be the black, but he's still going to need one more red, and he's not happy with the contact there at all. Was looking to be a good bit lower on this black. Would have had a relatively straightforward shot then to open out the remaining reds. As it is, he's come a bit straight on it, and there's a lot more work to do now. Well, wasn't a bad effort. Go into the pack off 2 cushions.
67.
Can he maybe pop the red at the top of the cluster? Doesn't look like it. Or is he maybe looking at the 2 reds below that as a possible plant? 67 in front, but still 75 left. Just needs one red, so if there's any chance at all of potting one here, it must be very tempting. There wasn't a pot to be had. He's played a pretty attacking safety there. Has left Davis long red. He's a long way behind coming to the table. He was trailing by 67. It's a very real chance for Davis. Obvious problem is the green on the ball cushion. There's a red next to the pink, but pretty sure that red goes to the corner. We've already seen one player lose a frame in this match, having been one ball away from winning it. Milkins pinched the first from Davis. Is it going to be role reversal here now in frame 3? So it seems that red next to the pink definitely does go to the corner. Milkins facing the prospect of perhaps becoming second favourite in a frame that he was so close to winning. And that's not gone to plan at all. Davis well short there with his position on the black. Doesn't have to pot it. 34 behind. Still 35 left, even if he was to play safe. That's not a great shot from Milkins at all. Davis has a chance here. Well, it was always a tricky one. And despite a fairly loose safety shot, to say the least, Milkins has a chance here to clinch the frame. Oh, but he hasn't taken it. Well, that was a gift of a chance that he was lucky to have after his previous shot. an excellent shot from Davis. This isn't even that easy a hit. Never mind leaving it safe.
Well, unless Mark Davis fault.
Well, if Milkins ends up losing this frame, I wonder how on earth he's contrived to do so.
Well, unless it's close. Mark Davis fault. Yeah.
And in what's become quite a tight frame, this is one of those situations where it isn't just about
Yeah.
trying to hit the red and leave it safe. The number of penalty points is now becoming a factor. That's 12
Mark Davis fault.
given away already.
Well, unless
Well, only one of his 4 attempts
Mark Davis fault, free ball.
has been anywhere near being successful. But this changes the situation a bit. Davis has a free ball now. So he's not putting Milkins in again.
Yellow ball.
So that counts as an extra red, so 1 point. Comes back up. Has to go in the pink spot because the yellow spot is taken. Pink is the highest available. Of course, that makes a clearance that bit more difficult now because the yellow, other end of the table really from the green.
Six. Seven.
Really now, it could all hinge on this shot. He's got the angle to go up for the green. If he can land on it nicely, the odds on to win the frame. Could have done with being a little less straight.
17.
Well, he's played that well. Really should win the frame from here. Brown takes him into the lead for the first time. Still needs blue and pink. So Mark Davis was 67-0 down in that frame and one ball away from losing us. Rob Milkins ran out of position. He did get back in with a chance of a red to the middle, but he missed that. In the end, it was that snooker that Milkins found himself in. 4 goes to get out of it. Didn't even manage to get out of it in the end, but did leave a free ball. And from that chance, Davis is clear to the pink. And in very unlikely circumstances, he now finds himself leading by 2 frames to 1.
Fourth frame. Throw it, Milkins to break.
Robert Milkins looked like being 2-1 up and a frame away from victory. Instead of which, at 2-1 down, he now needs to win both remaining frames. Has he reached?
Foul.
He hasn't. It's one of those shots in snooker that's always so much more difficult than it looks, but you still very rarely see a player come up short of the object ball in that situation. And now the trouble that he had hoped to put Milkins in, he's put himself in. There's always the danger that he would just slide off the side of the pack and let Milkins in for this red. Milkins was often running quickly in Championship League last year. In fact, he got to the final of Group 1 and then ran into Ronnie O'Sullivan and was beaten by 3 frames to 0. He came back for Group 2 but only won one of his matches and finished bottom of the group, and that was the end of that.
15.
And looks like being the end of that as far as this break is concerned. Finished nowhere there. Remember, the top 4 will go through to the group semi-finals tomorrow evening. Whoever then ends up winning the group is through to the winners group. The runner-up, the beaten semi-finalists, and the player who finishes 5th in the table will all come back for Group 2. They'll be joined by Neil Robertson, Mark Williams and Michael White. But the players who finish 6th and 7th will be eliminated. That will be the end of their involvement in the Championship League for this year. Familiar story for Davis really in this match. And a number of times he's knocked in long reds and just not quite got position. That was another one. Sometimes Milkins gets down and plays the shot so quickly that it looks like he's disinterested or not trying or being a bit petulant, but sometimes that can be the case if he feels things are going against him. But a lot of the time it's just a reflection of how quickly he sees the shot and plays it. Well, that wasn't a fluke. We saw him picking out the plant. And this is a bit of a conundrum for Davis. Have opened out a bit, so not easy to get safe by any means. That's pretty good. Coming off 4 cushions, unless he's left that one Well, I think Milkins might just have been taking a quick look at that one above the pink, but I don't think it goes. Really good shot, that. There's a bit of pressure on it. I knew if he missed it, he could well be leaving Milkins a chance. Although taking the cue ball in the direction he did, perhaps reduced the chance of that. Anyway, either way, it was a good pot, and Davis is in with a really good chance here. Oh, can you believe he's done that? Such a good red to the middle. And then he follows it with such a poor shot on the yellow. And all of these open reds that Davis should have had the chance to go at are now there for Milkins. And he'll definitely be thinking this is a really good chance to take the match to a decider. Really does make it all look so effortless when he's in among the balls, Milkins.
22.
He's made a couple of 147s in his career.
23.
Getting pretty close now to the stage where he'll leave Davis needing snookers. Still a bit of work to be done.
35.
So 53 in front now. 51 left. Could do with just giving himself a little bit more insurance. He's already lost one frame from a big lead.
But
he won't be losing this one now. That's his second half century of the match now. He certainly got some action on that cue ball. Come much further than he was hoping for, but it's all academic now anyway. And this is now the highest break from either player so far in this match. Davis had his chance. Potted a really good red to the middle and then missed the yellow, and he's paid the price. And that clearance of 91 from Robert Milkins sees him level the match at 2 frames all, and we're going to a decider. The 10th year now of the Championship League. Started back in 2008. Joe Perry, the inaugural winner. The big prize then was the winner got a place in the Premier League, which was a much sought after thing at that time. Premier League isn't around anymore, but aside from all the incentives of winning this event and the money that goes with it, it's now a place in the Champion of Champions, which is a really big money event in November. So lots of incentives to play for at the very early stages of this year's Championship League. And at the end of this frame, one of these players will have their first win of the tournament under their belt.
Mark Davis to break.
Mark Davis has been close to winning the Championship League title in the recent past, 2 years ago. lost in the final to Stuart Bingham in a deciding frame finish. What a start that is from Milkins. Red wriggled in. He's come just far enough to be in first here.
Fine.
If you're not familiar with the Championship League format, the only way you can guarantee getting through to the semi-finals is by winning 5 of your 6 round robin matches. It is technically possible to win 4 of them and not get through. It's never actually happened, but I'm sure it will one day.
30.
I think most players are thinking, we'll try to get 3 wins. Generally that's what you need, and it isn't always good enough by any means. It comes down to frames count back, head-to-head records. You can actually get through with 2 wins. It's very rare.
20.
In a group like this, where I think most of the players are fairly evenly matched, you will see a fairly tight group table, so every win is going to count for a lot. And the way Rob Milkins has developed this situation, he's very quickly given himself a chance here to get a win under his belt. After a rusty start, you might say, he's gradually found his rhythm. He's had breaks of 67 and 91 in the last 2 frames. Just the wrong side of the blue there, so he's left himself a longer red than he would have intended, but the way he's starting to cue, you'll fancy this. I did say you can see them get into their rhythm quite quickly. After a slow start from both players. And it's certainly happening in the case of Rob Milkins.
49.
In almost no time at all, he's closing in on winning this frame in one go. Third frame in a row now, he's made at least a half century. I think he's just okay. I think he's on one to the middle.
57.
So 63 in front. 75 left.
63.
One more red and a high value colour, and he should be over the line. I did say early on, we weren't seeing much sign of it, but that if Rob Milkins managed to get himself going, he's a very fast, fluent, natural player.
71.
And he's really shown that in the closing stages of this match. And it's a match he's surely going to win now. Disappointing start for Mark Davis, and he won't have long to put it behind him, because he'll be back on the table in about 10 minutes' time to play Matthew Selt. Milkins